No matter if you're going places or doing things, there's nobody having more fun doing just that than Janine Pettit of Girlcamper. Listen to our conversation and all the amazing things that she is doing with a great community. Girlcamper.com, it ain't just for girls. Janine Pettit is a well-known face from RVing.com, but she's also, did you know, the visionary behind a love that turned passion thanks to her loving husband. And along with a quarterly publication and a community now more than 87,000 people throughout North America and growing by the thousands daily, like your motto to my good friend Janine, you are going places and you are doing things.
Oh, William, thank you so much for having me. I'm kind of got a crush on you. I got to tell you, I was so excited to be invited.
Well, I do tell everybody, I know Mike Caudill. I'm a little bit more of a gorilla with marbles in his mouth, but I give good hugs and I'm always smiling. So there you go. All right.
That's what we love in any friend.
So for the listeners, I mean, obviously you and I have got to know each other through, you being everywhere in the world of RVing. All the listeners know I work for a manufacturer. What I really have tried to do with this show is just bring out, all the good things that are happening. Everything from 501c3 nonprofits in the world of camping, to other organizations like, Weingard and other companies. So bring a lot of value. But then when we talk about value, then there's you who's taken what started out as just you were stir crazy sitting on the beach summer after summer with your husband, and God bless this man to say, get the hell out, go do what you want to do, get a camper. So for everybody, can you how did Girlcamper start?
Well, I grew up in a camping family and I love camping. And then I married a non-camper and he inherited his grandma's little beach shack. I mean, and when I say little beach shack, this was no primo real estate. This was a couple blocks from the water, a one bedroom. We finished the attic and threw some bunk beds up there and had great summers there with our kids. And my husband grew up at the beach and we raised our kids at the beach. But I always missed camping, and when we adopted our youngest daughter, she was 8 years old, and our biologicals, we call them the prototypes were in college, and we had a second grader. And my husband said to me, I think it's time you get back into camping. And I knew about a couple of Facebook groups and women's groups that went camping without husbands, and my husband said, here's the money, go join. And I had a relative pass away and leave me a little chunk of change. And I said to him, let's take the kids to Europe. And he said, no way. He said, they'll never appreciate it. Take the money, buy yourself a camper and a tow vehicle and go have some fun. And I did, and I never looked back.
Now, again, what's really exciting is obviously your fame, just getting seen with GoRVing.com. You were an ambassador. And, here's the thing that I think impresses me the most about you, Janine. You could have just done blogs and been organic growth and, passed out RVing information with all the journeys that you had and your travels and, life as a camper, as you had talked to me offline, right? Your dad was very quick to say, hey, go set up the camper, throw you in the deep end, figure it out, learn by trial and error. But you've taken it a step further and you've built a sustainable business. And, just for everybody listening, as I said in the intro, Girlcamper.com, yes, it was created by a girl. And there's a lot of personas or assumptions about RVing. One, you go deep into the woods and sit Indian style by a campfire, eat bugs, drink booze, or smoke doobies.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. And along your journey, you've dispelled all that with providing some RV hacks, with sharing information. But now you've got, on top of this community that's heading north of 100,000, people, you've now created a publication, and I want to kind of dip into that. So Girlcamper.com, correct me if I'm wrong, you have a quarterly publication, so every 3 months, and this publication is jam-packed. You've got the latest industry trends and innovations with companies like ours. You're sharing recipes, you're sharing events, these chapters that you have throughout North America. Can you just kind of talk about, again, for the listener, what are some of the benefits of following girlcamper.com, and what's everything that you're trying to now pack into this growing publication?
Well, when COVID hit, generally, William, in the winter, the Christmas season ends in January, first week in January, I'm usually on a plane heading to the Denver RV show, which is just one of my favorite events of the year. I love the Denver RV show. And then the rest of the winter, I would spend every other weekend traveling to an RV show talking. So when COVID hit and all of the events were shut down, I had it in my head, excuse me, this might be the time to start that magazine I always wanted to put out. And honestly, I knew nothing about magazines. I just love magazines and read them. So in my mind, I'm like, how hard could it be, right? And we just dove in the deep end of the pool. And we wanted to create a magazine in which we inspired people, we inform people, and we lead people. So people are out there and they're looking at what we're doing, but if we don't give them the tools to help them join us, then we're just being mean girls. So we created a publication in which we talk technical. Do I need a weight distribution to hitch? Is the tow vehicle I'm using have enough power for the camper that I'm towing? So we cover those things. And then we cover recipes, and then we cover inspiring stories. We tell tales of people who knew nothing about camping, RVing, towing. They just learned, they jumped on girlcamper.com and they listened to the old Girl Camper podcast and they learned these things. So we wanted to create a publication that would just cover a little bit of everything. And that's what we did. And we actually won an Ozzy Award for our inaugural issue of Girl Camper for design. And so, yeah, we're rolling with it. We come out quarterly. And it's 108 pages, I believe, and it's really on heavyweight, beautiful paper. It's like a coffee table book. We wanted it to be something not flimsy that you flip through, but something that you really keep and enjoy and look at over and over. And we did that. At the same time, we started Girl Camper chapters about 2 years ago, this coming November. And we have Girl Camper chapter guides all over the country. And they create events. So once we inspire you with the magazine and everything happening on our website, women want to know, they want a tribe to camp with. Who am I going to camp with? So now you can click on South Dakota or Texas, or we're about half the country right now, and you can find women, and those women are creating events, and you can sign up for them. And now I've done this thing, right? I found girls, and once you get out there with those women, if you're not an RVer yet, then you get to meet these women.
Yeah.
We try to create events at a campground that has cabin rentals. So women who are not yet in this lifestyle can get there and they can car camp, they can bring a tent, they can rent a cabin, and then they get to talk to all the women who are already RVing. Hey, how much does your tow vehicle tow? How do you like that trailer? Is this floor plan working out for you? They start gathering information from a real source. It's not an article. They're out there with the people doing it, and it happens all the time. 6 months later, you see that these women have now bought themselves an RV.
Yeah, and the one thing that, again, too, I want to applaud you on is, again, you could have just stopped. You could have stopped with a publication that, like I said, is reaching thousands of people. So obviously for companies like Heartland and others, it makes sense. And I know you brought on some really big names in the RV world in terms of the manufacturers or the makers of these products for, ad spend because of the exposure that you're providing. But then again, you didn't stop there. You have all the content that's breaking the stereotypes. Again, you and I had a conversation about how a lot of the assumption is if people are watching business news and they just hear, for us, our parent company, Thor, 5.8 billion, that's all because of COVID and the pandemic and safety versus a hotel. No, as you and I talked, the real reason for our substantial growth that we never could have forecasted was thousands of employers across the country for the first time ever are allowing thousands of employees to work remote. That has created this big surge. The other thing that you've done to dispel was, we talk about stereotypes, minorities, ethnicities of all backgrounds, and women. There's always been this, masculinity approach in the world of RVing that, well, it takes a man that's 6'3", 250, to be able to back up these giant RVs. And, you have a beautiful boutique teardrop style that gets a lot of attention when it pulls into campgrounds. But kind of to your point, your truth and your authenticity, you are a camper and you are out there. And what you're trying to do is just build comfort and acceptance of all races and all sexes. That's why there's men that are big followers of you, a part of these communities. So when we talk about, obviously I want everybody listening to go to girlcamper.com. Is the quarterly magazine, is it also digitally available as well?
Yes. So the cool thing about the magazine, and we just published here's our summer issue there. We just, no, that's our spring issue. I'm sorry. We just published our 5th issue, and here's what's exciting. So if you haven't been a subscriber to Girlcamper until now, when you order it in paper, and you can get it just in digital. If you're a nomad and you're full timing and don't get snail mail, you can order it just as digital. 95% of the people get it by paper as well. But when you order it in paper, you get every back issue digitally for free. Okay. So if you order it next time, you're going to get 5 digital back issues to go through. So that's kind of fun. That we're building up this body of work, and it's fun to go back and think, oh my gosh, there's 5 issues under our belt,
And I'm sure there's got to be some moments, God bless your husband, where he's going, oh my God, what did we create? This thing has taken off. You're getting thousands of emails now, people calling you, requesting, hey, we want Janine here. As far as hitting the open road, I know that, like you said, you do love the Denver show. It's no secret. There's a lot of excitement. I talked to the PRVCA, who's putting on America's largest RV show in Hershey here in September.
I never miss it.
So are there going to be events already that you have, for all the listeners, where Girlcamper is going to be out and about in addition to, some of these chapter events? And do you know your schedule yet?
I don't know my schedule yet. Honestly, I have not picked up the RV show circuit again. I will tell you this, I'm going to be at the Boston RV show with New England RVing, Bob Zagami and John D. Pietro. We are going to be doing a Girlcamper Expo attached to the Boston RV show, which I think is the last weekend in January. So that is so exciting. Publishing the magazine is taking a lot of bandwidth, so I didn't rebook my normal travel schedule. I'm committed to the Boston RV show, and I do that every year, and I love working with Bob and John. And so that's our big event coming up.
So, and while we're talking about just that information, I'm sure that through your channels, through that community of, again, almost 100,000 strong now, you're trying to keep up with all the updates as everybody's pulling you in every branch of the RV world. So I just kind of want to get into the buckets and, again, just share with all the listeners the value you're going to get. So with girlcamper.com, obviously subscribe, follow, get the digital copies, they're quarterly releases. But what you're going to hear is industry experts, not just Janine, not a guy just like Willie. You've got the National RV Training Academy, obviously teaching everybody, again, all ethnicities, all backgrounds, everything about RV training. You've got RV Education 101, nutrition and well-being, car and auto expert, as I said, the big legend, Mike Caudill. You've got stressless camping, because I think, like I said, there's a lot of anxiety because people don't know what they don't know until they know. And you're looking to bring all of those facets. You've got the events calendar out here, chapter information. You've got the options for the subscription for the magazines. You even have shopping available. So, if you're a proud Girlcamper member, you want stickers, decals, you've got them. You want, apparel, you've got that too. Talk to me a little bit about, just on the Girlcamper website, you've got information under raffle and expo. Is that just kind of maybe the expo as far as the events that you're going to be having a booth in?
Yeah, we had, well, here, let me back up and tell you this big thing I should have mentioned. And so you reminded me when you said NRVTA and
Okay.
National RV Training Academy down in Athens, Texas. We just partnered with them. We're doing 4 modules a year, and we call that Camper College. Our first module of training women in the ownership and operation and upkeep of their RVs is happening this coming December. So signups are going to be like in a week or so. Probably by the time this goes live, that'll be on the Girlcamper website. And it's a couple $100. They really keep it reasonable and affordable. And everybody goes down there to the Big Red Schoolhouse. They camp together. They go to training classes all day long. They learn about their solar. They learn about their power, their fuses. You know, what can I run at one time? If something goes wrong, how do I troubleshoot that? So we have had 4 of our Girlcamper chapter guides become licensed RV inspectors. So this is women really powering up and really learning. So our classes are taught by licensed women who are part of the Girlcamper community. So our first module is happening in Athens, Texas in December. That is super exciting. And then we recently did a Girlcamper Expo where we had 18 sessions, and we just had all our Girlcamper guides come on and share things that they have a lot of knowledge about. I did a couple DIYs, like just fun things from recovering your RV cushions to just talking about the things that prevent women from jumping on board. So that expo is on our website and it's all there. You can still pay for it and own it forever. You can watch it a million times. And so we have just a lot of irons in the fire, but we just keep plugging along.
I tell you, you're a girl camper on fire. To keep up with you, I think I've got a lot of energy, and then there's you, and I'm kind of looking, my kids look up to me and say, Dad, how you doing? I'm like, well, I'm no Janine. So I do want to mention too, on the website, another great thing that you're always doing is you have all these giveaways. Can you kind of talk a little bit about what those are?
Yeah, well, you know what? We love aftermarket products, and the women in our audience love to buy stuff. And this is so much fun. And I think it's fun for our advertisers too, because our audience is women who raised the kids, got them through college, took care of the aging parents, and it's finally their turn in life. And when I think of all the years I had wish lists going in my head, like, ooh, I'm going to get that. But then the soccer bill comes in, or the school play and the uniform, and that, like there's never enough money. And we have this audience who's like loves aftermarket products. We post something and they're always like, I want that thing. So we love working with manufacturers to do these giveaways and bring awareness to kind of the fun things you can have. I'm not even sure what our giveaway is right now, but we change them out.
Yeah.
But we have a fun giveaway coming up with Outdoorsy, who is a partner of ours. We've been working hard with Outdoorsy this year. I have a rental unit. I bought a Keystone Hideout, and it's on a seasonal site up in Foxborough, Massachusetts at Normandy Farms, which is a stunning RV resort, one of the top RV resorts in the country. And you can go up there and rent it if you wanted to just try camping for the first time. So we have a fun giveaway coming up with Outdoorsy where they're going to give a very valuable coupon so you can maybe try the RV you're thinking about. So I always tell this to people, if you've got your eye on an RV, a good thing to do is rent it through Outdoorsy, take it for a weekend or a week, see if you really like it, and then you don't put your money down and get it home and think, this kitchen doesn't work for me. I don't like this layout. So we have a fun giveaway coming up with Outdoorsy soon.
So, and just, I want to just pause right there because there's 1,000 things that we can keep talking about. And I want to give pause for a call to action. So if any of the listeners, they do work for a company, maybe it's not an RV, but it could be something like a solo stove or these e-bikes that we're seeing, right? Anybody that's working for a company that thinks, hey, the RV community would really like our products, what is the best way for them to reach out? Is that just to go to the girlcamper.com website?
Yeah, you know what? Every single day, I remember when I used to get in bed at night with my laptop and answer 5 emails at contact@Girlcamper. And now we get hundreds a week at contact@Girlcamper. And they're just people who are writing to us and say, hey, I think our brands are a match. And, if they are, we love working with them. We're getting ready to do a feature on the electric bikes for the fall issue of Girlcamper magazine. We have worked with Solo Stove. They're fun people. We love their brand. And so just reach out to us at contact@Girlcamper, and we love new friends in the industry.
And so if you're not a business, but you are a girl camper and you want to feel more secure, you've got all the resources there. But I want to hit on this next point. I think, to me, this is the heartbeat of the girlcamper.com website. And I know, you, your husband, you guys are loving, salt of the earth people. And I think that this part of the website is why you get up every day and you continue to build and bring value. So about midway through the Girlcamper website, they have Girlcamper stories. Janine, I have to believe that you have heard stories where you've probably gotten a little verklempt. Can you kind of just talk about, without calling out anybody specific, because there's a lot of stories that are being shared here, but were there some moments where you kind of got home and you're sitting there with your husband and you're just like, you're not going to believe the story I heard? Can you just kind of maybe just give me a couple of highlights or some things that have just been your fuel?
And thank you, William, because that's really what it's all about. And those stories, honestly, sometimes I'm sitting in my office and I'm working so hard at encouraging other people to camp that I'm not camping myself anymore. And I just want to get out there, right? But then I get these stories, and I'll tell you a quick one. I was speaking at an RV dealership in Ohio, and we had a little camper college, and people came out to meet and greet me, and just encouraging women. And a woman came up to me and she said, she pulled me aside and she said to me, my husband just passed away, and very suddenly. And she said, we were going to buy a camper and we were going to do all these things. And I said, when did your husband die? And she said, 2 weeks ago. So she was spinning. She didn't know what she was going to do. And he happened to pass away just like a month after my dad passed away. And they were both named George. And St. George, if you're Catholic, you know this, is the patron saint of camping. And so I said to her, I think your George would want you to go on. And if you want my help, I would like to help you keep this dream alive. And so privately, I worked with her to help her scale down the dream of this big fifth wheel. And she bought herself a little teardrop, right? And she loves to fish. And I helped her get started. She bought it from that RV dealership there, and they were great to her, and they helped her learn how to tow and everything. And we set her up with our Ohio girls, and she met a tribe and she started camping. Fast forward, William, I'm camping in northern Pennsylvania, way out western northern Pennsylvania, which is where the best stargazing is in the East Coast. I'm walking down the campsite road and I see her. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Patty. And I run over to her, we're hugging and kissing. And she said to me, Girlcamper changed my life. And the back of her RV, William, was full of stickers of all the places she had been. And she said, if I had not come to that RV show that day and talked to you, I don't know what I would be doing. She had friends, her calendar was packed, she was doing things. I came home and I told my husband, that I ran into, because he was with me at the RV dealership the day I met her.
Wow.
And so 2 years later, I run into her at a campground, and oh my God, that made me so happy. It's like, it makes me in my office dotting I's and crossing T's worth it.
Yeah. And just, that's the thing that, like I said, as we become friends, and I admire about you so much is, everything that has been your foundation is, serving and building this sense of community. Yeah. And I think that, parallels a lot with, like what I'm doing with my podcast. The podcast is all about sharing life's journeys. So, I have to ask before we get into the close here, we talk events, social media, and website. So for the listeners, what is it, if you can summarize in just a few sentences, what is it that you love so much about camping or RVing?
Well, This is about camping and RVing. See, I have a 2018 Liberty Outdoors Max. It's an off-road. It looks like a little cabin inside. I grew up in Chicago, and we camped in Wisconsin and Michigan and the upper PI and Minnesota, all those lakes. You're in a lake, and I love lake houses. So the inside of my RV makes me feel like I'm a kid in a lake house again. And I'll be at a campsite, sitting around somebody else's campsite with all the girls. And when I'm walking back to my camper at night and I see the little light on inside, I feel like my camper is waiting for me. I love getting inside of that camper at night. Whew. Yeah. I get in my bed, I got my book. It's just so chill. I honestly, I lay there, I got that big window in the back and I open it up and I can hear nature. I hear a creek, I hear owls, I don't hear my neighbors' cars. I don't hear beep, beep, I don't hear radios. To me, oh my God, it's so restoring. I just love it so much. It just feeds my soul, to use a cliche. I love it.
Well, I'll tell you, with my past, I tell everybody, I used to work for a Japanese company out of Tokyo, Japan. And, there's a Japanese term they call Shenrin Yoku, which means to go bathe in nature. And it does create that sense of escapism, of leaving the noise, leaving the traffic, leaving the stress, and just getting out with Mother Nature. And I think that we're not short on miles, and there's so many beautiful things to see throughout North America. So I've said it 1,000 times. Without question, you're giving more than you're taking. Quarterly subscription, digital available, girlcamper.com. Anybody that is into camping, you're going to get so much value. So let's say this, you've got the big RV training coming up in December. What about, is Janine going to be gracing the 1 million square feet of walking at Hershey, Pennsylvania this September? Are you going to be there?
I'm going to be there as a media person, just covering the show. I'm not scheduled to speak or anything there. Okay. I absolutely never miss the Hershey show. I usually go straight from Hershey to open house in Elkhart, but they bumped it back a week. So I'm only 2 hours from Hershey myself. So I day trip it there and back. And then I'll be out at open house in Elkhart, which is, it's home territory. My dad was actually born in Elkhart, Indiana. My cousins live in Hobart. So, that's home turf for me. I love an excuse to go there. So I'll be working with my friends at Keystone RV. Keystone donated a trailer to Girlcamper for our annual charity for the Hold You Foundation. We kick that off every September. Courtney Armstrong from the Flippin' Nomad is bringing her design style to that RV. So I'm going out a little early, and Courtney and I are going to take that from factory to fabulous. Then we're going to hang out at the open house. So if you're industry people, I'll likely see you at open house.
Awesome. Well, people always ask me all the time, they say, well, Will, you work for 3 of the brands, so how do you feel about Keystone or some of the others? I go, they're my cousins. We're all under the Thor umbrella, so I love them all.
Yeah.
So obviously social media, right? You're well north of 87,000, in membership in Facebook. What are all the social platforms that Girlcamper is involved in?
So head over to Girlcamper on Instagram. We love that page. We just try to inspire people with great photos over there and just stay in touch with people. We have our website, and then each one of our Girlcamper guides has their own microsite. So you can go to Girlcamper / South Dakota, Wyoming, New Mexico, Dallas. Click on that interactive map on our page, and it will take you to the Girlcamper guide near you, and you can see what events. But what's even more fun is if you're in Virginia, click on our Kentucky girl. That's a short hop. See what she's doing. Get out there and go places.
So again, Janine, as always, I want to thank you for finally taking some time to just share, again, what started out as a passion and now extending your love to an amazing community where, as you're traveling our beautiful country, you're meeting amazing humans that have an amazing life's journey that they're sharing and being inspired by you. So on behalf of Heartland RV, Jacket Media Co., and our podcast, the Where's Willie podcast, We love you. Keep going. We wish you and your husband and your family safe travels. We love you, and I'm sure we'll have you on again when you've got some more really exciting updates.
Well, William, I want to thank you for having me on. I'm just a big fan of yours, and I hope I'm going to see you in Hershey.
Oh, you will. I will be there. And if you don't see me, you should be able to hear me. All right, Janine. All right, everybody. Girlcamper.com. Go tune in, check it out, and get all the benefits that they are providing. Love you, Janine. Thank you.
Love you.
I'm Will Miller, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Launching Life's Journeys podcast, brought to you by Heartland RVs. Stay tuned for our next destination.